We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Trump signs order cutting Japanese auto tariffs to 15%, confirms an agreement of $550 billion investment in US projects. Thailand set to vote for new Prime Minister amid power vacuum after Shinawatra sacked over an ethics breach. 26 countries vow to give Ukraine a security guarantee. India also extends support for an early end to the conflict, while Trump mentions it as the most difficult phase and plans to speak to Putin. And in Hockey Asia Cup 2025, India thrashes Malaysia with comeback win as final race heats up to take on China on Saturday. And moving on, the United States has officially implemented a trade agreement reached with Japan in July, taking tariffs on automobiles and other goods lower while outlining Japan's commitments in the deal. In an executive order signed by U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday in Washington, both reciprocal and auto tariffs on Japan are set at 15% instead of the current 27.5%. Trump signed the order the same day as Ryoshi Akazawa, Japan's chief tariff negotiator, arrived in Washington for a 10th round of tariff talks. Well, the lower tariffs on Japanese autos are set to take effect 7 days after publication of the order. Some of the tariff relief is retroactive to August 7th. The document also said that Japan agreed to purchase US-made commercial aircraft and defense equipment. Trump's order also reiterates the Japanese government has agreed to invest $550 billion in the United States in projects that will be selected by the US government. And Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Thursday that her government is considering imposing tariffs on imports from countries that do not have trade agreements with Mexico, including China. The tariffs would be part of Plan Mexico, an initiative to boost domestic industry amid tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump on some imports from Mexico. Sheinbaum added that the recipients will be countries that don't have trade agreements with Latin America's second largest economy, including China. She did not provide details on which products or sectors could be affected. And Thailand's parliament will hold a special session on Friday to vote on a new prime minister. A power vacuum has consumed Thailand's top office since last Friday, when the Constitutional Court sacked Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra over an ethics breach. Paetongtarn's few Thai parties, still governing in a caretaking capacity, had attempted to dissolve the legislature and block the vote, submitting its request to the palace. The request was rejected by the Thai royal officials on legal ground. Meanwhile, a coalition of opposition MPs has backed conservative construction magnate Anutin Charnvirakul to take the top of office, with a vote scheduled at around 10 a.m. local time on Friday. And meanwhile, Thailand's influential former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra left the country late on Thursday, a day before a parliamentary vote for the next Prime Minister and ahead of a court ruling that could see him jailed. The departure of the billionaire Thaksin, who spent a total of 15 years in self-imposed exile, comes as the coalition government of the ruling Pheu Thai party he founded is in turmoil, facing a major challenge from a rival party ahead of Friday's House vote. A Pheu Thai party source said that Thaksin had travelled to Singapore for a medical checkup and was expected to return to Thailand on Friday. And Democrats and Republicans on Thursday pushed U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his recent vaccine policies and other sweeping changes. During 3 hours of testimony, Democrats accused the U.S. Health Secretary of lying and restricting Americans' access to vaccines. Democratic senators called for his resignation, as have other senators and over 1,000 current and former health employees. Several Republican senators also raised concerns. Republican U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana praised Trump for having accelerated the development, manufacturing and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines in 2020. He grilled Kennedy about the cancellation of $500 million in COVID vaccine contracts. The hearing comes a week after Kennedy fired the leader of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in a clash over his vaccine policies. And Norway and Britain on Thursday signed a $13.51 billion agreement aimed at strengthening Norway's maritime defense capabilities, marking Norway's largest military investment to date. Norway, which announced the deal on Sunday, said it had chosen Britain as its strategic partner for the acquisition of new frigates, following a competitive process that included proposals from Germany, France and the United States. A key mission for the frigates will be to monitor Russian submarines whose base is on the Kola Peninsula, an area in the Arctic bordering Norway. The deal will eventually see a combined fleet of 13 anti-submarine warfare frigates, 8 British and at least 5 Norwegian operate jointly in Northern Europe. And the United States announced nearly $20 million in new security commitments for Ecuador during a visit by Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday. Rubio said during joint remarks with Ecuadorian counterpart Gabriela Sommerfeld that the U.S. would consider a military base in Ecuador if invited by that country. Rubio said the United States also designated 2 Ecuadorian criminal groups, Los Choneros and Los Lobos, as foreign terrorist organizations.
Today we are going to designate the Lobos and the Choneros as terrorist groups. That brings it a whole series of options that the United States can carry out under our laws. It is a designation we have made today. I can also announce that we are allocating $13.5 million from the Department of State to combat drugs and crime to support those efforts. On top of that, we are also working now to provide $6 million for drones.
Well, updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukraine's European allies have pledged to provide security guarantees after the Ukraine peace deal reached. French President Emmanuel Macron, after the meeting of coalition of willing leaders, told reporters that the 26 Western allies have formally committed to deploying troops by land, sea or air to Ukraine the day after a ceasefire deal is agreed.
26 countries have committed themselves to deploying troops in Ukraine as a reassurance force or to being present on ground, at sea or in the air to provide this reassurance to Ukrainian territory and to Ukraine the day after the ceasefire or
Well, the meeting of 35 leaders from the coalition, the willing of mainly European countries, was intended to finalize security guarantees. U.S. contributions to the guarantees would be finalized in the coming days. The French president, European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a call with U.S. President Donald Trump after the Paris summit. Also, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a telephonic conversation with his Ukrainian counterpart, Andriy Sybiha, on Thursday and affirmed an early end to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Dr. Jaishankar, in a social media post, said, and I quote, spoke to FM Andriy Sybiha of Ukraine this evening, discussed our bilateral cooperation as well as the Ukraine conflict. India supports an early end to this conflict and the establishment of an enduring peace, unquote. Also, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Sybiha also posted on social media platform X saying that Ukraine relies on India's authoritative voice and active support in broader international peace efforts. He further said the talks also mentioned strengthening the Ukraine-India partnership and the further implementation of agreements reached by Prime Minister Modi and Ukraine's President Zelensky. The two leaders also agreed to meet during the UNGA high-level week in New York and continue the tangible developments of our bilateral relations, including in political dialogue, upcoming high-level contacts, economic cooperation, technology, and other areas. Well, India, the United Nations, has reaffirmed its stance of dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward to end the conflict in Ukraine. Permanent representative of India to the United Nations, P. Haresh, in a statement at the UN General Assembly, said that New Delhi stands ready to support diplomatic efforts for an early end to the conflict.
India continues to remain concerned over the situation in Ukraine. We maintain that the loss of innocent lives is unacceptable and no solution can be found on the battlefield. India has consistently advocated that the path of dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, no matter how insurmountable such a course may appear. The wholehearted participation and commitment of all stakeholders are critical for lasting peace. Mr. President, India welcomes recent positive developments in this direction. We endorse the summit meeting in Alaska between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We appreciate the progress made at the Alaska summit. We also note the subsequent diplomatic efforts by the US President in engaging with Ukrainian President and European leaders in Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains in touch with President Putin, President Zelensky, and European leadership on the evolving situation. We believe all these diplomatic efforts hold the promise of bringing to an end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and opening up prospects for a lasting peace.
Well, US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, said on Thursday that he would speak soon with Russia's Vladimir Putin after his call early in the day with Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders. Talking to reporters on the sidelines of a dinner with prominent US tech executives at the White House, Trump said he and Putin are having very good dialogue and he will speak with the Kremlin leader in the near future. Well, Akshay Dongre joins us for more on the conflict from New Delhi on this. Well, Akshay, after the SCO summit, do you see this statement as an attempt by Donald Trump to re-enter the dialogue, as Trump mentions it as the most difficult phase also, and simultaneously plans to speak to Putin?
Well, after, shifting stances on a regular basis, Donald Trump has once again put on the mood that he wants to have a conversation with Vladimir Putin, and that the conversation is going well. So, all of these claims obviously sound quite superficial, but that are coming in from White House are also a problematic thing as far as this entire conflict is concerned. Because on one day Donald Trump says that he is having immense and major progress in the peace talks, and then suddenly he starts taking pot shots at the leaders, and in fact personal jibes at the leaders of other countries. So it's been quite difficult to gauge the mood of Donald Trump as well. Because he's now saying that the talks are going well. Just a few days back, he said that he doesn't know what is going on, and that he thought he had gotten it done. So as far as US leadership is concerned, that remains immensely confused at this point in time, especially after the SCO summit. It seems like that the US administration, the US government wants to stay relevant as far as the peace process is concerned. Because even the European Union leaders are now starting to try and find alternatives, because they've realized that the US leadership that was making all these tall claims, perhaps in the hope of Nobel Prize or whatever reason there was, the kind of claims that were being made by Donald Trump about finding a solution and how close he was to finding a solution were not true. So that is why we are seeing all of these changes now. The European Union nations and the Union as a whole trying to reach out to other parties. We saw that the chief of the European Union is trying to reach out to India and enter a negotiation as far as what can be done through India as far as a peace deal is concerned. And if not a peace deal, then peace guarantees perhaps that some of the European nations, a group has come up with, by deploying the troops to Ukraine as a form of guarantee. But I don't see how that's different from NATO involvement, because that also involved European troops, American troops near the Russian border. This also involves that unless the European Union agrees and Ukraine agrees to give up the Donbas region and the Crimea part of the Crimea region that were part of Ukraine. And now, we saw there was a referendum in Crimea, after which it sided with Russia, and Donbas was captured by the Russian forces, majority of it at least. So unless there is a territory giving up agreement, it doesn't make sense that the European Union leaders are now thinking of deploying troops on the Ukrainian ground, because without the change of the territory, it seems highly unlikely that the Russian side will ever allow that, unless or the third option remains a status quo as far as the territorial gains are concerned, and the deployment of troops, then coming to an agreement like many nations have as far as disputed territories are concerned. Back to you, Lipakshi.
All right, Akshay, given Macron's emphasis on a three-part security guarantee for Ukraine, what is your assessment of the situation prevailing right now in the current geopolitical climate?
Well, there is a sense of confusion, obviously, because with the US leadership being clueless as well, and changing stances as far as the negotiations are concerned, the European Union leaders are now thinking of taking the center stage as far as the negotiation is concerned, because they do realize it's not about a Nobel Award; it's about lives that are on the ground. So it is more than the ego of any man. So the leadership in Ukraine, in European Union, in Russia as well, are coming to realize that US may not be a very credible partner, as a credible nation when it comes to peace solution and peace deal. So they're trying to find out different ways. This peace guarantee is one of the ways by which European Union leaders are now trying to explore another alternative to the end of the conflict.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for all those details. And that is our correspondent Akshay, who was telling us about the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the latest update, and what's happening on the international front. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. US warns Venezuela after provocative military flyby near its Navy vessel in international waters. And we'll give you an update on the Hurricane Lorena and Kiko sweeping through Mexico and Hawaiian Islands. And as the monsoon mayhem continues in India, we'll give you a quick update of the weather around the country.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, tension escalates as the US Department of Defense claimed that 2 Venezuela military aircraft flew near a US Navy vessel in international waters, calling it a highly provocative move and warning Caracas against further escalation. The Defense Department statement said on Thursday that Venezuela is strongly advised not to pursue any further effort to obstruct, deter or interfere with counter-narcotics and counter-terror operations carried out by the US military. On Tuesday, the U.S. military killed 11 people aboard a vessel from Venezuela in the Caribbean that President Donald Trump said was carrying illegal narcotics and that belonged to a drug cartel he designated as terrorist organization. Well, a federal appeals court has allowed the Federal Migrant Detention Center in Florida, known as Alligator Alcatraz, to resume operations. Court blocked a lower court ruling that ordered the facility to stop taking new detainees and ordered a halt to construction work. Two judges sided with the Trump administration and the one judge dissented. The majority ruled that the project, which has been funded by the state of Florida, did not trigger the kind of environmental review needed for federally funded construction projects. Although both Florida Governor and Homeland Security Secretary have said the federal government will pay for expanding the detention facility, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security called the ruling a huge victory. And moving on to West Asia now, Israel on Thursday claimed that its forces now control about 40% of Gaza City. Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin in a news conference said that forces have seized large parts of the Ziton and Sheikh Radwan neighborhoods. He further said the operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Well, the Israeli military spokesperson reiterated that the campaign would only end when Hamas control was dismantled and Israeli hostages were returned. Also, Israel launched the latest offensive on Gaza City on the 10th of August, describing it as a mission to eliminate Hamas fighters entrenched in the area.
Today we hold 40% of Gaza City. The operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Hamas will face the Israeli armed forces in their full force in Gaza City. We will increase the pressure on Hamas until it's destroyed. We will continue to pursue them everywhere.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Thursday that Washington has told other countries that recognition of a Palestinian state will cause more problems. Britain, France, Canada, Australia and Belgium have all said that they will recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. The moves are designed to put pressure on Israel to end its assault on Gaza and curtail the building of new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Rubio was speaking while on his visit to Ecuador. Rubio also said that he would not opine on Israeli discussion of annexation of the West Bank, but that it was not final.
We told all these countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire. And it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions.
Well, Argentina's Congress on Thursday, for the first time, overturned a veto issued by President Javier Milei, raising the stakes for the Libertarian leader as the country heads into consequential legislative elections. Well, the vote by the opposition-controlled Senate, which was 63 votes in favor and 7 against, was the final push to overrule Milei's veto of a bill that increases spending and protection for people with disabilities. The lower house in August first voted to overturn the veto. Milei, who currently has a small minority in Congress, needs to increase his seats to be able to keep his policies on track. The last time Congress overturned a full presidential veto was in 2003 under President Eduardo Duhalde. Well, the Portuguese authorities were investigating on Thursday what caused a Lisbon funicular railway popular with tourists to hurtle down a hill. It killed at least 16 people and injured 22 more when it crashed into a building on Wednesday. The Prosecutor General's office confirmed that several foreigners among killed, though the identities of all could not yet be officially ascertained. Flags flew at half-staff and people left flowers at the site of the crash as Portugal declared a day of mourning. The Pope sent condolences and blessings to victims, relatives and rescuers. Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa and Prime Minister Luis Montenegro visited the site of a funicular accident in Lisbon. Portugal and Lisbon in particular has experienced a tourism boom in the past decade, with visitors cramming the popular downtown area in the summer months. An Italian luxury king, Giorgio Armani, designer to the stars and leader of a high-end lifestyle empire, has died at the age of 91. The best-known contemporary designer, Armani opened his fashion house in Milan in 1975, quickly rising to the top of the industry and going on to dress Hollywood. His funeral on Monday will be private, but well-wishers will be able to pay their respect at a memorial chamber open on Saturday and Sunday in Milan. The group did not give a cause of death, but Armani missed some shows earlier this year due to unspecified health issues. The Italian icon was credited with inventing red carpet fashion, but also moved into a less expensive range aimed at a younger market through Emporio Armani and opened luxury hotels. His death came just weeks before celebrations for 50 years of his eponymous label culminate at Milan Fashion Week and raises the question of succession. Well, the streets throughout Mexico's Los Cabos were left flooded and covered in thick mud on Wednesday after Hurricane Lorena passed near the popular tourist destination, bringing heavy rains and strong winds that damaged roads and stranded vehicles. Although Lorena did not make landfall in the region, the storm's outer bands caused significant flooding as its eye came within 200 kilometers of Los Cabos at its closest approach. Well, the hurricane has since weakened to a tropical storm and continues moving north through Baja California Sur, where it is expected to make landfall on Saturday. Meanwhile, Kiko remains a Category 4 hurricane and could still become stronger as it moves towards the Hawaiian Islands. Kiko was last tracked moving with minimum central pressure and maximum gusty winds of about 130 miles per hour. Although Kiko remains far from the land, authorities have issued warnings for potentially life-threatening flash floods and mudslides, especially in the higher terrain. Residents in the Hawaiian Islands are urged to closely monitor the storm's progress and be prepared for possible severe weather. Well, Afghanistan continues to reel under earthquakes as another tremor of magnitude 4.9 struck the nation in the early hours of Friday. Sharing the details on X, Afghanistan's National Center for Seismology said the second major quake came after two earthquakes of magnitude 5.8 and 4.1 struck the region in the late hours of Thursday. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme has sent emergency aid to Afghanistan's quake-stricken Kunar and Nangarhar provinces. Initial aid shipments include food supplies and high-energy biscuits, with additional flights scheduled to deliver further assistance and personnel. Many of the communities affected by the earthquake were already struggling after recent flash floods, and worsening weather conditions now threaten to exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. And on to some weather updates now. India braces for a wet week ahead as heavy rains sweep across the west, north and central regions. From Gujarat to Bihar, thunderstorms and downpours are set to dominate the skies. Let's break down what IMD forecast has to say. In the western India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Saurashtra and Kutch face extreme heavy rainfall till 7th of September. Konkan, Goa and Madhya Maharashtra also expect intense showers. Among the northern regions, heavy rainfall continues across Uttarakhand, Punjab and Haryana through 10th of September, with thunderstorms likely. From central India to eastern, West Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar and sub-Himalayan Bengal forecast heavy rain and lighting till 10th of September. Andaman Islands join in midweek. Meanwhile, among the southern Indian regions, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and coastal Andhra Pradesh are set to see isolated heavy rain and strong winds up to 40 kilometers per hour. While Punjab breathes a momentary sigh of relief with clear skies forecast today, even as a yellow alert remains in place for 6 districts. Punjab witnessed a break in extreme weather with clear skies expected today, though a yellow alert remains for 6 districts. The floods have claimed 43 lives, with 3 individuals still missing. Over 3.84 lakh people across 1,902 villages have been affected, and more than 20,000 have been relocated to safer areas. Well, yesterday, Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan visited flood-hit regions to oversee the relief operations. As of now, 2 central teams have been deployed in Punjab who are actively assessing damage to expedite assistance. Local administrations continue restoration of roads, water supply and essential services. The government is working round the clock to ensure timely aid, food and shelter for affected families, as Punjab begins its long road to recovery from one of the worst flood crises in recent years. And DD India's Gurmeet Singh joins us from Jalandhar for more on the weather update in Punjab. Well, Gurmeet, what's the weather right now? Because as we read, there are clear skies now, but the IMD has still has given yellow alert.
Lipakshi, if we talk about the present situation, then the weather is quite clear today, and due to the relentless rains in last few days, there has been a lot of damage already in several districts of Punjab, and specifically if we talk, then there has been severe damage in a lot of the districts, specifically Amritsar, Gurdaspur, Jalandhar, Kapurthala, Hoshiarpur, and all these districts. Yesterday only, Union Agriculture Minister, he visited Punjab's Amritsar, Kapurthala and Gurdaspur area. And Gurdaspur, mind it is one of the worst affected districts where 329 villages have been inundated in the waters. So right now the situation is quite challenging. And first of all, if we want to tell, and the latest that we are getting is from Ludhiana at the moment. Ludhiana, there is a Dhusi embankment which has got weakened, and due to that only there is a village called Sasrali where army teams have been deployed to strengthen the embankment, and so that the villages which are under danger at this point in time can be saved from the flood waters. Secondly, there is Taran Taran area. Taran Taran is also facing flood waters due to Dhusi embankment getting weakened. So district administration and various teams are also trying to strengthen the embankment over there. And third one, Jammu Pathankot trains have also been cancelled, and also Firozpur Nakoda train service has been cancelled for today. And the railways are waiting, the department is waiting for the situation to be under control. And there is a specific mention of the Ghaggar river, because earlier the Ravi and Satluj have been above the danger mark, but now they are below the danger mark, somewhere near the danger mark. But Ghaggar and Satluj, they are swollen, and due to that only Patiala, Sangrur and Mansa, there about several villages are under the flood waters at this point in time. If I talk about Patiala, then there is a Ghanor area and Patra area where several villages have been inundated and submerged into the waters. And there is a road, Ghanor Ambala road, that has also been closed due to the water overflowing on the road at the moment. And also there are 2 central teams which are visiting Punjab at the moment. And one team that we are learning at the moment is that has been to Amritsar, Gurdaspur and Fazilka area, which are the worst affected areas of Punjab. In Amritsar, the team specifically went to the Ajnala and Ramdas and Bauli area. If we talk about Gurdaspur, then the central team has been to Dera Baba Nanak and Kalanor and Behrampur area and Makoda Patan area. And in addition to this, in Fazilka, the team has been to Noor Shah and Gurka area as well as Kamawali. So the central team is taking stock of the situation on ground and trying to make an assessment of the losses to the farmers and the localized over there. And right now, if we talk, then the central team would also have a meeting with the chief secretary and take the final statistics of the assessment of the state government.
Right.
Also.
Gurpreet, I'm sure with the clear skies today, relief efforts will definitely intensify. Thank you so much for all those details. And Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced the installation of 4 new IMD radars under Mission Mausam in Jammu and Kashmir to enhance district-wise weather forecasting and early warnings. In a high-level review meeting, he assessed relief efforts across Doda, Kishtwar, Ramban, Kathua and Udhampur following severe rainfall cloudburst and flash floods. Over 6,000 people are sheltered in relief camps with hundreds of roads and water schemes under restoration. Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Shah closely monitoring the situation. Additional rations, water filters, medical kits are being dispatched, including support from Dr. Singh's MP funds. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while. Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and moving on, strengthening India-Bhutan spiritual and cultural connect. Bhutan Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay, accompanied by his wife Tashi Doma and official entourage, visited World Heritage Mahabodhi Mahavihara in Bodh Gaya on Thursday. He offered prayers in the Sanctum Sanctorum and also sat in meditation under the sacred Bodhi tree. The Royal Bhutan Temple at Rajgir was consecrated by the Chief Abbot of Bhutan, J. Khenpo, in the presence of Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay. The consecration of the Royal Bhutan Temple at Rajgir is a symbol of the shared spiritual and cultural heritage of Buddhism between India and Bhutan. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju also attended the ceremony.
भारत के लिए और भूटान के लिए दोनों देशों के लिए बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक दिन है। राजगीर ये हमारा देश के लिए ही नहीं, दुनिया का बहुत बड़ा बौद्ध केंद्र है और पवित्र धरती इस राजगीर में भूटान के प्रधानमंत्री जी और उनके धर्मगुरु, सबसे बड़े धर्मगुरु भूटान के, दोनों यहाँ आकर के पूरा भूटानीज टीम के साथ आज इस बौद्ध मंदिर का उद्घाटन किया और भूटान और भारत का पुराने संबंधों को, चाहे वह आध्यात्मिक संबंध हो, धार्मिक हो, राजनीतिक हो, और हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में, जनता के बीच में जो संबंध है, ये सबको मजबूत करने के लिए एक प्रतीक है।
Well, Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay, along with his spouse Om Tashi Doma and other officials, are on India visit until September 6th. The visiting leader will meet External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. This visit comes after Tobgay's earlier trip to India from February 20th to 21st, during which he participated in the inaugural leadership conclave of the School of Ultimate Leadership, Seoul, inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The MEA noted that the back-to-back visits underscores the continued close cooperation and deepening ties between India and Bhutan. And the 21st edition of the India-USA Joint Military Exercise Yuddha Abhyas 2025 underway in Alaska. The Indian contingent, comprising personnel from a battalion of the Madras Regiment, training alongside soldiers from USA. Over 2 weeks, troops will rehearse a spectrum of tactical drills, including heliborne operations, employment of surveillance resources, and unmanned aerial systems, rockcraft, mountain warfare, casualty evacuation, combat medical aid, and the integrated use of artillery, aviation, and electronic warfare systems. The exercise is underway in jointly planned and executed tactical maneuvers ranging from live fire exercises to high-altitude warfare scenarios, with a focus on improving capabilities for United Nations peacekeeping operations and strengthening preparedness for multi-domain challenges. And every year on September 5th, India celebrates Teachers' Day to honor the role of these special educators in the lives of numerous students and even the parents. It values the contribution of teachers who shape the future generations of the country, educating them with the knowledge of right and wrong, good and bad, proper and improper, and everything under the sun. The day is celebrated not just to show gratitude, but also to recognize their efforts, love and dedication towards their students. To mark the occasion, President Draupadi Murmu to facilitate winners of the National Teachers Award in a ceremony at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi today. Also, on the eve of Teachers' Day, Prime Minister interacted with the national awardee teachers in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi lauded their hard work and continuous dedication. Prime Minister Modi said that a teacher is not just for the present, but also shapes the future generations of the country. Prime Minister stressed that teachers' work goes far beyond the classrooms. They shape character and kindle curiosity in the youth. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on the Teachers' Day, sharing on X. He wrote, and I quote, "Wishing everyone, particularly all hard-working teachers, a very happy Teachers' Day. The dedication of teachers to nurturing minds is the foundation of a stronger and brighter future. Their commitment and compassion are noteworthy. We also remember the life and thoughts of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, a distinguished scholar and teacher, on his birth anniversary." Unquote. And renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik also paid tributes to former President of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, and all the teachers who continue to inspire in his unique way. And today marks the last day of Onam. Kerala is celebrating Onam with traditional fervour and gaiety. Today also marks Thirumonam, which is the culmination of 10 days harvest festival. Onam is a festival connected with the return of the mythical demon king Mahabali, under whose reign everyone lived happily. People wear the traditional attires, prepare sumptuous feast, engage in traditional games, and so on this day. Temples like Guruvayur Sri Krishna Temple and Sabrimala Ayappa Swami Temple, Sri Padmabha Swami Temple are witnessing heavy rush since the early morning today. Well, Onam Pookalam, a traditional and elaborate floral rangoli created during the Onam festival, made at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. The rangoli is dedicated to the memory of those who lost their lives in the 26/11 terrorist attack. While Onam traditionally spans 10 days, celebrations in the UAE and broader Gulf region extend for months. This extended celebration period allows the large Malayali diaspora to participate despite logistical challenges. The UAE hosts a substantial population from Kerala who have integrated deeply into the country's cultural and economic landscape. Malayalis contribute significantly across multiple sectors, reinforcing the UAE's multicultural character. Their presence becomes particularly visible during Onam, when the community unites to celebrate and preserve their cultural heritage. Restaurants and hotels throughout Dubai have been serving authentic Onam Sandhya feast since early September. The UAE's diverse expatriate community, including Emiratis, Egyptians, Filipinos and others, actively participate in the festivities, transforming Onam into a celebration of multicultural harmony. While extending Onam greetings, also Prime Minister Narendra Modi on X posted, and I quote, wishing everyone a very happy Onam. May this beautiful festival bring renewed joy, good health and abundant prosperity to all. Onam reflects the timeless heritage and rich traditions of Kerala. This festival is a symbol of unity, hope and cultural pride. May this occasion strengthen the spirit of harmony in our society and deepen our connection with nature, unquote. And still to come in DD India NewsHour. FDI in India rises 15% in Q1 financial year 25. Inflows from US nearly triples. 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival kicks off in Toronto. And defending champion Aryna Sabalenka storms into the final of the US Open.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. Lipakshi Kuranan on to some business updates now. Good news coming in from the economic front as foreign direct investment in India rose 15% to US dollars 18.62 billion during April-June this fiscal year, while the inflow from the US nearly tripled to 5.61 billion USD in this quarter. According to the government data, FDI during April to June financial year 25 stood at 16.17 billion US dollars. Total FDI, which includes equity inflows, reinvested earnings and other capital, increased to 25.2 billion US dollars during the quarter under review as against 22.5 billion US dollars in the same period of 2024-25. The computer software and hardware sector emerged as the top recipient of FDI equity in the quarter, attracting $5.46 billion of total inflows, followed by services at $3.28 billion. And the dollar mostly held its ground on Friday as bond markets stabilized and traders awaited key U.S. jobs data expected to firm up the case for an interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve. The greenback inched up in U.S. hours on Thursday and was poised for a second straight weekly gain on relatively light trading, and as investors refrained from big moves ahead of the payroll figures. Bonds rallied in the US, Europe and Japan after fiscal concerns spurred a run-up in long-term yields. The yen edged higher as Japan's chief trade negotiator spelled out details of a solidified trade deal with the US. The dollar index, which tracks the greenback against a basket of currencies of other major trading partners, set for a 0.4% gain this week. Well, the U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday hosted a high-profile dinner with more than 24 technology executives in the newly renovated White House Rose Garden. The industry leaders lauded Trump administration's stance on artificial intelligence and business. Tim Cook said Apple was making major U.S. manufacturing investments thanks to the administration's policies, while Altman called Trump a pro-business, pro-innovation president. Oracle CEO Safra Catz said that Trump's recognition of AI's transformative power had unleashed American innovation and creativity. Zuckerberg told Trump the companies were investing heavily in U.S. infrastructure.
You know, all of the companies here are building just making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation. So it's, we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone. I mean, I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
Well, AMD's Lisa Su credited the administration for accelerating semiconductor development, while Brin and Pichai praised what they described as a constructive relationship with Washington on AI policy. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and Gates also thanked Trump and First Lady Melania Trump for their focus on workforce training and technology trust.
So appreciate that your administration had a constructive dialogue and we were able to get it to some of resolution. I would echo what Sergey said. I think the AI moment is one of the most transformative moments any of us have ever seen or will see in our lifetimes.
I think that everything that you're doing in terms of setting in place the platform where the rest of the world can not only use our technology but trust our technology more than any other alternative is perhaps the most important issue. And you and your policies are really helping a lot. So thank you very much. And also I wanted to thank Madam First Lady for hosting what I think is perhaps the most defining issue, which is about skilling and economic opportunity that comes with AI. And so I deeply appreciate your leadership there.
And news now from the world of entertainment. Film buffs from around the world have gathered in Toronto for North America's biggest film festival, the 50th Toronto International Film Festival. Munmun Bhattacharya chatted with some of the film buffs on the festival streets of Toronto. Take a listen.
This is the venue of the 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival, and film enthusiasts from around the world have gathered here to watch films. So let's talk to them.
I'm very excited about watching films. I came here last year on this same trip and it was super memorable, so I wanted to experience it again.
Are you all also excited about watching films here?
I'm so stoked. I'm excited to see international things that aren't necessarily shown in the US, and I'm excited for everything.
I really want to see Maud Apatow's debut directorial. I think her mom's in it, Leslie Mann, and Andrew Barth Feldman, so I'm really excited to see that.
How about you?
Same for me, but I'm also excited to see Saoirse Ronan's Bad Apples.
I'm really excited to see Frankenstein, so I'm kind of hoping to spot Guillermo del Toro.
And you?
I'm also excited for Maud Apatow's directorial debut. Poetic License, that's the movie.
So you can see that the excitement is quite palpable among the film enthusiasts here at the 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival with cameraman YK Loknath. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
Well, DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya caught up with Cameron Bailey, Chief Executive Officer of Toronto International Film Festival, after the inauguration of the Bharat Pavilion. Bailey spoke on the possibilities of future collaboration between India and TIFF. Let's listen in to this exclusive conversation.
We have with us here in Toronto Cameron Bailey. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Toronto International Film Festival, right here at the Bharat Pavilion here. Well, Mr. Cameron, welcome to DD India. What brings you to Bharat Pavilion for the inauguration?
Well, India is a very important partner of ours. We know the volume and the talent of Indian filmmakers and also series makers. We've got the Gandhi series premiering here at our festival this year, and also we've got big plans for our official market launching next year, and we want India to be a big part of that as well. So we're just reconnecting and finding ways to collaborate.
Can you tell us a little about the partnerships that you're looking forward to forge with India? What are the prospects as far as partnerships between TIFF and India or Waves Bazaar is concerned?
You know, I think they can take many forms. There have been partnerships in terms of collaborating on co-productions between Canada and India. We also are the hub in North America for the whole North American industry, including the US. So we believe that this is a great place to do business for the Indian industry as well. So that's another way that we'll collaborate.
Going forward, would you also look at India as a gateway to reach out to the entire South Asian region?
I think so, yes. For many years I was selecting films from India, and I also traveled a little bit in the region, and I'm aware of what a powerhouse India is in terms of its creativity and the fact that its films and series go all across the region. So I think that makes sense for that to be a hub as well, and to also show the connectivity among the different South Asian nations.
That was a conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of the Toronto International Film Festival on the immense possibilities that are there for collaboration between India and TIFF. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
And you're watching DD India NewsHour. Time now for some sports news. India clinched their second Super 4 match in the Men's Hockey Asia Cup with a commanding 4-1 victory over Malaysia and Rajgir in Bihar. Malaysia struck early with a field goal to take a 1-0 lead in the opening minutes. In the second quarter, India bounced back as Manpreet Singh converted a penalty corner to level the score 1-1. Soon after, Sukhjit added another goal, but before the end of the second quarter, India scored once more to go 3-1 up. The third quarter saw India extend their lead to 4-1 and ultimately the match. India will now face China in the third and final Super 4's clash on Friday. And defending champion Aryna Sabalenka poured into the women's single final of the US Open. Sabalenka rallied from a set down to defeat American fourth seed Jessica Pegula and keep a title defense firmly on track. World number 1 Sabalenka clinched a 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 victory in 2 hours 5 minutes on the Arthur Ashe Stadium court. The 27-year-old will face the winner of the other semi-final between Japan's Naomi Osaka and America's Amanda Anisimova in the final. Yuki Bhambri's dream run at the US Open ended in a heartbreak as the Indian star alongside his partner Michael Venus lost a tightly contested battle in the men's double semi-final. Yuki and Michael went toe-to-toe with the highest ranked pair Joe Salisbury and Neil Skupski, but ended up losing in a 3-set thriller. The impressive campaign included a stunning quarter-final victory over the high-ranked Rajiv Ram and Nikola Mekti, which secured Yuki a place in the Grand Slam semi-final for the first time in his career. Yuki Bhambri was bidding to become the first Indian since 2015 to win a title at Flushing Meadows and the first since Rohan Bopanna in 2023 to reach a final. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.